Repositioning, attention, acquisition, scaling. These are the 4 main steps you need to take as an online coach to go from 5K a month to 20K a month. And in this video, I'm breaking down the exact 4-week roadmap to implement this simple funnel into your business and close 10 to 15 high-paying clients every single month. There's only one caveat to this. You gotta be an absolute expert at what you do. It doesn't matter your niche. You can be in the endurance niche, fitness, health, nutrition, even finance and e-commerce. As long as you are an absolute expert, you have proof of concept and you have case studies, this is gonna work for you. And you don't need a marketing degree, you don't need 20,000 followers, you don't need 20 hours a week, you don't even need £3,000 a month into ads for this to work. And once you implement this model, you're gonna attract invested deep pockets customers, and you're gonna have a system, a semi-automatic system that pre-qualifies them, nurtures them, and even sell them. You're gonna only have to do 10%, 15% on the call because the marketing is gonna do all the rest. And you are finally going to achieve scalability and predictability. But before I dive into it, let me just show you James, because he's implementing this exact same funnel and he's closing 3 to 5 high-paying clients every single week with a tiny YouTube channel and a tiny Instagram account. And he's actually posting less than he used to. Or Nick, who went from 7,000 followers to 31,000 followers in a time span of 5 months. But we're not here for the views, we're not here for the followers, we're here for appointments and clients. In fact, he's booking 45 to 50 appointments every single month, and this is just the month of August, and he's over 10K a month. Not because he wanted to buy a fancy watch or a fancy car, but because his wife got cancer and he wants to make sure that he can provide for his family even if things get worse. Or Andy, who started absolutely from nothing with his marketing and is now generating £5,000 a month of passive recurrent revenue every single month just from athletes handled by assistant coaches. And he's only focusing on high ticket deals, 19K, 18K. And in case you're wondering who am I and if it's worth spending half an hour with me, well, my name is Gael and I've actually done it for myself as well. In a tiny niche with a small Instagram account and YouTube channel, I was able to generate 21,000 euros just in June this year. And now I focus on helping other coaches do the same. With that out of the way, let me get into it. So in the first week, you're going to focus on repositioning your offer, building clarity on your ideal customer profile, and adjusting your profile and your messaging. So the first thing you need to understand is that you're not going to try to build a niche brand, a brand in a niche. You're going to build a personal brand. You are going to become the niche. Because if you're just providing value to your audience and you're not creating a deeper connection with them, you're just going to be another creator posting content in that niche. Meaning you're not going to have any competitive advantage over your competition. Meaning you're going to get eaten by bigger competitors, bigger profile. So instead, we're going to blend authority building content, lifestyle content, and value-driven content to attract the right ICP and create a deeper human connection with them. The second step is to have clarity on your ideal customer profile. If you don't have a document like this one that breaks down every single little detail of the life of your ideal customer, you're gonna be in the weeds because this document is the foundation to everything that comes next, even sales. By the way, if you need these templates, simply just message me on Instagram. The link is in the description below and I will send it over. But you're not gonna fill out this document based on the information that you think are right. You're gonna also send these forms, which by the way, again, I can send you over if you message me on Instagram. You're gonna send these forms to your clients to understand what exactly got them across the line and what exactly made them stick to the service and what got them interested in the first place, because you're gonna focus on that. And you also want to know who exactly got converted from what, so that you can focus on specific parts in your marketing to attract more of the clients you enjoy working with and less of the clients you don't enjoy that much working with. Because with this system, you're gonna have so many leads that you're not only gonna charge way more than you're charging now, but you're also gonna be able to choose who you want to work with. And once you have this document, you can pivot your messaging. So if you're focusing on content geared towards beginners, guess what? Maybe you're gonna get more reach, but you're gonna attract less leads. Once you have this document, you can pivot your messaging to only attract this specific ICP and focus on their pain points and their desires. Look here, Andy likes to work with intermediates and experts. And by the way, I also suggest you do that because you can charge more and they're gonna be willing to invest more because they're more invested in the journey. He was posting content geared towards beginners, and he was getting a good reach, but he wasn't getting the right leads. Instead, he changed the messaging, and he's now focusing on content more geared towards experts and intermediates. And that's how he's able to close 18, 19K deals paid in full for a yearly coaching. The third step in week number 1 is to optimize your profile. Because even if you get leads, and even if they're qualified, if your profile is not optimized for conversion, you're not gonna close them. So you're gonna change your profile picture to something that not only represents you, but also your niche. You're gonna change your bio to something that tells them what you do for them and why they should trust you. Why you are an expert, why you are an authority in that specific niche. You're gonna have a story highlights and some pinned posts, which are your long-term assets. And I'm gonna talk about those in a second. You're gonna have a username that is not salesy and is just your name and surname. It's not gonna include buzzwords. And you're gonna focus on colors that resonate with your specific ICP. So for example, if you're a running coach, the colors that are gonna resonate with your clients are green and blue and white, for sure. And then you're gonna have only one link to your YouTube channel. As we're gonna see later, we're gonna work with YouTube and Instagram together in tandem. But let's go step by step. So with long-term assets, I mean your story, your case studies, and your unique mechanism. You wanna have these 3 pinned posts at the top of your Instagram profile. And then you're also gonna have a VSL like this one on your YouTube channel. And the 5th long-term asset you need is a start here story highlight. And you can go on my Instagram account. Again, the link is in the description below to check it out. And you're gonna build something similar for yourself to show your case studies in a very pain-driven way. Now, thanks to the information you gather through these forms, you are going to be able to restructure your offer. What can you remove? What can you outsource? What can you automate? Because we don't just want to create this lead generation engine and this conversion mechanism. We also want to make sure that we can scale even when we get leads. Once we have these in place and we have some solid foundations to build upon, in week number 2, we're gonna focus on creating this content machine. And the first step is to create a competitor list. So you can go on the suggested profiles in competitors in your niche and just follow every single competitor and person targeting your exact ICP that you can find. And you're gonna study them. Another tool you can use is the IG Exporter. This allows you to export followers and following of specific profiles, and then through Excel you can simply filter that list and find even more coaches. Once you find 15 to 20 competitors, you can move on to the content strategy. I personally like to use Miro, and if you need this template, I can send it over to you on Instagram, just message me. And we're not gonna try to go viral. We're gonna maximize your chances of performance, and we're gonna be 1% different from your competitors. So you're gonna gather, like, you wanna understand what formats are they using, what colors are they using, what angles are they taking, and we're gonna take those because we don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we're gonna add our own personality to it. We're gonna change it by 1% because we don't just wanna copy, we wanna emulate and add our own personality to content. And not only short form content, but also long form content. So you're gonna pull information from YouTube and from Instagram as well. Once your content strategy is in place, you can move on to structuring your content machine. You need a management software, you need a team, and defined processes, repeatable processes for the other steps of the content creation process. Because you're not a content creator, you cannot spend 20 hours a week creating content, so you gotta outsource and manage seamlessly. I like to use Notion to manage content because it's simple and powerful. If you need these templates, I can send it over to you on Instagram. And with Notion, you can also set up some automations so that you can seamlessly manage content and your team is gonna get automatic notifications so that you don't waste your time managing people. Now, when it comes to your team, you don't need 3,000 people. You really need just an editor that is also gonna design your thumbnails and a manager. You don't need a massive team. You need an editor that is also gonna design your thumbnails and a manager because you don't wanna be scripting, posting, ideating, and replying to comments all day long. You can find an editor and a manager on Upwork and on onlinejobs.ph. However, it's a bit of a process and I actually have a network. So if you need an editor or a VA or a content manager, just simply DM me and I can help you out with that as well. Once you have your team in place, you can go ahead and ideate and script. I like to leverage AI and I personally use a tool called blurred.ai and I feed competitors' content and my customer profile and my content strategy to create stunning ideas and scripts. When it comes to recording and editing, you're gonna focus on formats that follow trends and resonate with your ICP. You're gonna be intentional with your delivery, with your environment, with your pace, the quality and colors. Don't focus too much on quality, especially at the beginning. You can even use your iPhone. As long as you make it easy and fast for you to create content, just do that. And instead of spending hours ideating content and scripting your content, you're gonna track content and iterate to improve specific ideas. It's better to have 10 ideas and replicate the same ideas over and over until they become perfect, rather than just trying 20 different ideas a week and they never work because you never iterate and you never track and you never know why they didn't perform that well. I know it's a lot of information, but bear with me, stick with me, and in a second we're gonna move on to the funnel, because here is where things get actually interesting. So in week number 3 and 4, you're gonna still keep posting content thanks to your newly created content machine, but you're also gonna hire a setter. Now, it's a bit of a process to hire a qualified setter, trained setter. By the way, if you don't know what a setter is a trained salesperson who is actually sending DMs and converting people very consistently on Instagram. Again, I have a network, so if you need a qualified trained setter, just message me on Instagram and I can find one for you. And the first thing is to reactivate your database. So you're gonna extract your followers, and your setter with a very specific sequence is gonna reach out to your old followers to just try and re-engage with them and see if they're actually interested in your new offer. And they're also gonna see your new content, so there's a likelihood that we're gonna close some clients even just from database reactivation. And in the meantime, you're gonna get traction thanks to content, and we can start doing warm outreach on new followers thanks to the warm outbound DM sequence. I can send this one over to you again on Instagram if you need it. Here is the little quick scroll, and yeah. But we're also gonna get inbound because we're gonna do call to actions in our content. So we're gonna get inbound messages and comments, and there is a very specific DM sequence that you need to follow that your setter actually needs to follow to convert these leads from inbound. Once you're booking calls organically, you can start running ads. Ads are not gonna fix your content, ads are not gonna fix your pipeline, and they're not gonna fix your funnel. Ads only work when your funnel is already working organically and you have proof of concept and things are rolling. When it comes to ads, just keep it simple. 3 creatives, different formats, different topics. You create a visual representation of your ad campaign, and then you just transfer this visual representation over to the ad manager. Don't use Instagram, just use the ad manager. And then track everything. Not only reach, not only ad spend, but you want your setter to track everything. Again, I can send you over this spreadsheet if you need it, but you gotta track how many followers, how qualified they are, the cost per follower, the cost per call. Everything needs to be tracked. Otherwise, you cannot understand how you need to optimize and change your ad strategy. Because especially at the beginning, we're gonna try different copies, different ad creatives and different ad campaigns. And then we're gonna iterate and use the natural selection principle from Darwin to find the best ad that is gonna cost you the least and bring you the most qualified leads. But we wanna maximize conversion. So we wanna give people different ways to convert. So after we set up this funnel that is gonna be predictable, sustainable and consistent, we're gonna build a VSL YouTube funnel to bring the cost of acquisition down and again give your prospects different ways to convert and have different pipelines, different angles to attract clients. This is super simple. You're just gonna have a VSL or landing page and you're gonna link the VSL or the landing page in the description of your YouTube videos. And this is really cool, webinar funnel. Not many people are using a webinar funnel, and this is really powerful because once a month or once every other month, you can simply run ads and attract people into this webinar where you provide value for like an hour, and then you just book a whole bunch of calls at the end of the webinar. It's a very specific structure, but again, if you need some help with structuring your webinar and your ManyChat automations and your pitch and the script of your webinar, just send me a message on Instagram and I can help you with that as well. This way, we're gonna have quality coming from Instagram, we're gonna have quantity coming from webinars once a month or once every other month, and we're gonna have consistency coming from appointment setting. Once you have these in place, you're just gonna keep doing the things that you're doing until it's gonna be time to scale. And there's gonna be time to maybe find other coaches. So you can use your followers or your network to find coaches. You gotta pay this coach a salary or very small commission. You don't wanna destroy your margins. And if you think that you cannot outsource your coaching, that's just ego. We are not the best on the planet at what we do. So start building SOPs and assets and find coaches to outsource service delivery and be able to scale. Since you're gonna book 45 to 60 calls every single month, you're gonna almost become a full-time closer. So ideally, you don't wanna waste your time with that anymore. You wanna hire a closer. Again, it's hard to hire salespeople, but I have a network. So if you need a trained, qualified closer, just simply message me on Instagram and I can find one for you. And ideally, you wanna give them 10% commission, and at the beginning, you wanna split test 2, so you can see which one is the best after 3-4 weeks. And then you want to also focus on increasing the lifetime value of your clients. So with resales, upsells, cross-sells, or monthly recurrent revenue. And only once you get to 15, 20K a month, you can think about having multiple products. I don't suggest you create multiple products at the beginning because it's just going to be confusing. You're going to have too many funnels, too many ads, and you're not going to make it work. So focus on one, scale with your high-level coaching, and then you can create high-ticket products, low-ticket products, communities to have memberships, so that you can actually build this passive recurrent revenue that you've been craving for. The last step is to start networking so that you're gonna have organic content bringing leads, ads bringing leads, YouTube bringing leads, but also collaboration, podcasts, micro-influencer marketing. So you get someone, hey, I can coach you half the price if you promote me in your bio, in your content. So you wanna have different angles, but let me show you what the funnel looks like in practice. So at the top, we have qualified traffic, and we attract traffic through ads and organic content. We blend carousels, reels, stories, and one pages, and we have different call to actions. DM me and follow me. We get leads. And then through a very specific retargeting ad strategy, we retarget these leads to nurture them in the middle of the funnel through YouTube videos, teasers, nurturing reels, and story sequences. This way, we get qualified leads, and then we can engage with them with warm outbound, or we can just get them on the DMs through CTAs. And there, our setter is gonna do his job, and we're also gonna nurture them further and build credibility through dynamic asset. And this is what's gonna smoothen the call, because they're gonna be nurtured by content, and they're gonna be nurtured by assets. So when they jump on the call, they're gonna be pretty much pre-sold. They become clients. We sell them on the core offer. They go through the onboarding call, fulfillment, and then they get results. And we can use client results on calls and on content. And we can use testimonials, again, in the middle of the funnel, in our story sequences and in our content to nurture even more. That's why it's such a great cycle. And even if they don't convert, no problem, because we have other mechanisms. We have the VSL on YouTube, we have the webinar, so we just keep them into this ecosystem until they're gonna convert. Every prospect has a different conversion cycle, but our goal is to just keep them in the loop for as long as possible, and sooner or later, it's gonna click. They're gonna see something in our content, they're gonna hear something, they're gonna see a case study, or they're gonna see a specific video that's gonna make them click and do the step and book a call, all right? And then after fulfillment, you can, like I said, upsell, resell, build a monthly recurrent revenue, or cross-sell, all right? So there you have it. And when it comes to which type of content to post, I like to focus on action-driven reels, problem solution reels, and credibility-driven and pattern-interrupting reels for my ads, and then some softer reels for organic. And then YouTube, you have all the audience-building content, audience-nurturing content, and converting content. And here you have it. This is all you need to implement this funnel into your business and go from 5K a month to 20K a month as an online coach in the next probably 4 months. Now you have 3 choices. You can ignore what we covered on this video and just keep doing what you're doing. But I don't think that's gonna be the case, because if you spent half an hour with me and you got to this point, that means that you're invested and you're really motivated and want to build that passive monthly recurrent revenue so that you can sustain your family while keep doing what you're doing and actually scale without having to spend more time into your business. Option number 2, you go ahead and implement this by yourself. And you should. But as you probably realize yourself, there is a lot to it. Like, for example, hiring and training editors, finding managers that actually manage your content without you having to constantly manage them and check on them, finding setters that are actually performing, finding closers and the right angle, the ICP, the customer form. There is a lot that goes into it. And in fact, option number 3, you can actually ask for help. You can reach out to me on Instagram. The link is in the description below, and we can see if we can actually help you get to 20K a month.